Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Smash that subscribe button. We've had some great growth in the past couple of weeks, and we can't thank you enough. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, TikTok.
We had a nice week off last week, and I can't swear to you guys, but I guarantee this will hopefully be the last week. I'm using these stupid earbuds with a horrible sound, so thank you for being patient with us. We got some CFL and NFL hot topics. We got the CFL Power Rankings, NFL Power 5, NHL talk, Winnipeg Jets talk. But let's start off with those CFL Power Rankings. I might have a surprise for you in the basement. I'm going with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, losers of 6 in a row, absolutely lost. They belong in the basement. I'd like to see every team in this league beating them at this point. They're
even Edmonton at home?
For sure. I will take Edmonton at home. If I had to play pro line and I had to choose one of those teams, I would have to go with Edmonton at home.
That's a pretty risky take there, considering Edmonton did not win at home and haven't won at home in a while. But
that's how bad I think Saskatchewan is. They're horrible. Rudderless ship.
I still think they'll beat Edmonton. I kept Edmonton at 9.
Yeah,
Saskatchewan 8, though.
It's like just shocking to me that no one saw this coming. Like, I remember when Garrett Marino got in trouble in July, I was like, Dickinson has no control. It's over. And look what's happened. Why are people surprised about this?
Yeah, that team took a big nosedive, fell apart. Dickinson lost control, lost the plot, just couldn't fix it. And then it boiled into the last week of this, not the last week of the season, but last week's game and the moves that they made into that game. So it was not a good season for Saskatchewan. Started off kind of hot. They beat the teams I guess they were supposed to beat early, east side teams, and then got weak from there.
Maybe Edmonton, with Steve McAdoo as their offensive coordinator, would be making a move for Cody Fajardo. Even though Chris Nolan shit-talked him before. he did.
Yeah.
He said he's no good without Steve McAdoo. So, hey, now you got Steve McAdoo.
I guess he wasn't wrong.
I have Edmonton at 8. They're not good either. I'm sorry to say. They're playing their backup, and those Elks fans must be looking forward to the offseason.
Well, it's already here, right? Edmonton's done already. They can start going on their merry way, and we'll see what they do in the offseason. I had them at 9, Saskatchewan at 8. But yeah, you could probably flip them around pretty easy. So
let's go with Ottawa at 7. Bobby Dice.
Yeah, they fought hard. They fought hard in those last 2 games.
Been ever since Bobby Nice. Bobby Nice. That's a good name for him because he's Bobby a nice guy. Bobby Dice, who is nice. I still hashtag hire Bobby Dice. I think he's the person for the job. Canadian, values the league, coached under some great coaches. He obviously brings a good energy to the room.
Yeah, I mean, they fought hard the last 2 games. They were close. They were in them. Hamilton won them late, won the last game late. So they played well, and they played good for him. The offense actually seemed a lot better. I'm not sure who was calling the plays there, but they seemed,
a young guy.
Yeah, can't remember his name now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they seemed way better and more in sync than they ever did with Lapo at the helm, unfortunately. So we'll see. Hopefully Bobby Dice gets a crack at it.
I got Montreal at 6. Unfortunate loss for them. I don't mind a team losing by Rouge, to be honest with you, but to get a too many men penalty and not let the guy take the ball out to see if they can prevent the Rouge so they kick again, I think that is the stupid rule. To blow a field goal like that down before a guy gets a shot any which way. Montreal 6.
The good old CFL and their weird rules.
Yeah,
come back to haunt you. I still got Hamilton at 6. Dane Evans is back injured again, so I don't know if it's going to be him or Schultz. They did have a hard time beating Ottawa and getting in there. Yes, they've been the hottest team per se in the league over the last little bit, but I still think Montreal is going to take them out, even if they were in a neutral field.
Yeah, I got Montreal at 6. There's not really much to say about Montreal.
No, I got them at 5.
They're kind of ho-humming around with Danny Maciocia.
I mean, that whole East, Toronto's obviously got the best chance of representing that East. And they're not
good either.
No, exactly. So, Montreal at 5, Hamilton at 6, and should be still a good game in the playoffs, I guess.
Yeah, Hamilton, they're feeling it a bit. And they're that team a month ago that if they caught on fire, they're the team that you probably don't want to see just because they're so experienced in the playoffs. But if Evans is hurt, Evans is hurt. I got Toronto at 4. The inconsistent, pretty much by default, is there at 4.
Yeah, I dropped them back down to 4 as well. Had our time, like we said, the Rouge for the win, basically. I mean, maybe they're just playing it out and that's it. They're ready for the playoffs, but they've struggled to beat teams they should be beating, no problem this year. So
Yeah.
again, they'll probably represent the East in the Grey Cup. There's not much competition to stop them.
Yeah, they're not. Dinwiddie, I'm sorry to say, is not a very good coach, in my opinion. He's got his job kind of because the East has been so abysmal the past couple seasons. So I'm not a believer in Dinwiddie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I could see him getting canned if they end up losing that East final.
Yeah, absolutely. Two home playoff losses in a row. You gotta go. You gotta go.
Oh, for sure.
At 3, I got Calgary. Meyer kind of looking flat lately. If his team didn't put 2 Bills rushing on that in the last game, they might not have won.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. That running game was fantastic, and really put it away to Saskatchewan. But yeah, I agree with you. Myers has looked a little weak, and I wondered if they would try Bo Levi at some point in that game just to see it. Maybe Levi will play this weekend since they're all meaningless games basically coming up. But yeah, I could see them if he continues to struggle, especially going into the playoffs against BC.
Yeah,
I could see them going right back to Bo Levi. I have Calgary at 3 as well because with the news of Nathan Rourke practicing and possibly coming back, to me that makes BC the better team.
So who do you got at 2 then? BC?
BC, yeah.
Yeah, it was exciting to hear that he is back. He's looking not as affected as someone who had just let Lindstrom sprain surgery, looking comfortable, hitting his receiver. So good news for BC.
Very big news, and especially I think if they host the game at home, maybe that'll bring more fans to the game, knowing that they got a really good chance with Rourke in there.
Yeah,
hopefully he's completely healed and nothing happens in that game, obviously, but it'll be a good one.
They got to open the upper deck for the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, hopefully
they better open the upper deck.
Hopefully they can sell those tickets.
Yeah, I have confidence that they will open the upper deck. Might not be all of it, might be a little section, but open it up. Number 1,
Winnipeg.
Well,
not much to say there. Bye week didn't change anything for them. It's basically another bye week coming up and then another bye week after that. So hopefully they're ready to go when the West Final comes along.
Yeah, but Winnipeg Blue Bombers, number 1 seed, all the way. Number 1 power rankings all the way through. We'll see what they do this week. See how much they show. See who plays, how many minutes. I'm convinced they got to put Caleros in for a bit.
Yeah, I could see them maybe playing him for a quarter or 2.
3 weeks
maybe
in
at least
a row?
a quarter. Yeah, they can't. They can't have him resting that long.
No.
You also got some injured guys that were finally practicing today in Wolotarski and Ellingson.
Yeah.
Maybe if they're good to go, you throw them back in there for a bit too to just try to get that game feel back a bit. Because yeah, like you say, there are no meaningful games. Another bye week next week. It's another 2 weeks for that West Final kind of thing. So it's a lot to just sit around and do nothing.
Yeah, it's good that they're getting rested, but also, momentum. Momentum is always a big thing going into the playoffs. And, they were okay last year. They got to sit some guys and they had plenty of momentum to go through, but we'll see. Longer season this year.
Well, the last bye week also, last week's bye week, didn't give them too many games in the last little bit. So yeah, that makes things a little bit different from last year too.
So speaking of the playoffs, Bombers going into the playoffs, having that bye week, hosting the West Final, Toronto having their bye week, hosting, the East Final. Let's look at these matchups. Toronto, Montreal, BC, Calgary. What do you got to say about that?
Did you say Toronto, Montreal? Hamilton, Montreal.
Hamilton, Montreal, BC, Calgary.
Yeah, it should. I mean, I'm looking forward to that BC Calgary game the most out of these 2 games. I think it'll be exciting, especially if Rourke is back. Yeah. I think it'll be a pretty good high-powered offense as long as, like we were talking about, Jake Meyer is ready to go and he's getting these yips out of his system or whatever.
Yeah.
Hamilton, Montreal should be a good game between those 2 teams. We know they're a bit weaker, but it'll be fun to watch and see. I mean, we know this week's meaningless, so it's like, hey, let's just start the playoffs this week.
Yeah, if I'm going based off the past few weeks of play, I think the Montreal-Hamilton game will be the more exciting one. BC is really starting to feel it with Vernon Adams. So even if Vernon Adams, I say, goes into Calgary, I'm kind of leaning towards them because Calgary hasn't been looking very good. And of course, it depends who Hamilton has at quarterback. Schultz, whatever you want to call him earlier in the year. he's okay, but can he do it? And can you step right up and do it in playoff action? Who knows?
Maybe he's the better option. He actually didn't look too bad earlier this season. I know playoffs are a little bit different, and you're heading on the road into Montreal. Hopefully, they can sell at their stadium as well.
Yeah.
Get on it, Gary Stern. But yeah, it'll be an interesting game, especially Evans. I mean, he's got 2 weeks, right, or just over a week now to heal up. Or no, today's only Monday. We got lots of time there, so yeah, it should be a good game though, even with Schultz, I think.
Yeah, CFL playoff games usually aren't a blowout.
No, unless Edmonton's playing Winnipeg in the end of Cal Murphy's era.
That was a brutal one. That was a brutal one.
Hey, but we did kick their butt in the 90 Grey Cup. So
yes, Rodgers season. We kind of talked about it earlier. It's always fun to have that rivalry, and you get the memes. Oh, it's fun to watch the Riders lose. It's a good Sunday, but how disappointing. They have to clean house, like we said, like a couple of weeks ago. There's no way you go in with the same administration. You're not going in with the same quarterback.
No,
he sees the writing on the wall.
Yeah, and obviously, there's going to be quarterbacks available this year: Vernon Adams, Bo Levi Mitchell, maybe Drew Brown, kind of thing. Yeah. So I don't even think Mason Fine is the guy either, because he didn't look very good in this game that he played. I mean, to trust the guy when your season's on the line to a guy that really hasn't played much this year, it's kind of a boneheaded move to me by Dickinson. And the team never recovered. They had a great start, or a good start. Team never recovered. Multiple mistakes, multiple penalties. The Marino fiasco. It was just a gong show, from the middle of the season on for Saskatchewan. Jeremy O'Day, he didn't do anything to address their needs this offseason. The team got worse. The O-line got worse. Fajardo, that trickled down to Fajardo with that O-line being so bad.
Yeah.
The multiple sacks, and he was just running for his life all the time. It was a terrible season, and I'm sure a big letdown because they made the last 2 West Finals, close games, So you're thinking, okay, maybe they're finally going to take that step this year and make the Grey Cup, but they exploded.
Oh, he sat on his hands. Jeremy O'Day and Craig Dickinson.
And he lost guys. Like, he just let guys go.
Yeah.
So, well, it wasn't good. But, starting Mason Fine and benching Fajardo in that last game is just it's like the cherry on top of
it reeked of desperation. It reeked of desperation. There was no reason to make that move other than you're trying to save your job.
Yeah, but what are you saving it with? It's not like you had a veteran guy back there. It's not like you went back to Bo Levi or something like that.
Yeah.
You're going with basically a rookie, who doesn't have the experience, and you're expecting him to win this big game. And then the rest of the team didn't show up either. I mean, you had Calgary put up over 200 yards on that defense. So it's not like, it's not like all aspects of that team was humming and it was just the quarterback. That whole team was a mess.
Yeah.
So like you say, it's always fun to watch them suffer. Rider fans go down, but they're gonna have to start building that thing back up.
Agreed. NFL Power 5. Let's start off with 5. I got the Cincinnati Bengals creeping up in there. They look pretty good this week. Against a pretty garbage Atlanta Falcons defense, but you got Burrow almost going for 500 yards. You have these 3 receivers collectively almost averaging 100 yards each. So it's just, they're looking good. They're starting to look like the playoff Bengals from last season, so I got them at 5.
Yeah, I want to see a little bit more consistency out of the Bengals first, because they play these good games and then they stink the next week after, or they struggle a little bit. So, but yeah, like you say, they're way better now than what they started the season at. So we'll see how it goes. I still got the Vikings at 5. I don't think my list even changed at all. I still got the Vikings, even though they're on a bye. Good start this season. Some easier games in there, but they've got it done.
I have the Vikings at 4. Like the Bills, they were on a bye. The Bills are on my top 5 as well, the Power 5. The NFC North is theirs. It's theirs to lose. Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. Is there a better wide receiver running back combo in the league?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Speaking of Cincinnati, Mixon hasn't been that great this year. Trying to pair him with Chase. Barkley has no good receivers there. Taylor, nothing really there. Yeah,
they are it.
Chubb. I mean, you got no other good receiver, or you got
Cooper?
Nothing.
No.
Yeah,
get out of here. Justin Jefferson would be good.
Yeah, that could be it for sure.
I think they are prime. Yeah, so I got them at number 4. Who do you got at 4?
I'm leaving the Giants in here, man. Again, not a hard schedule, but they've played well. They've played hard, and they're only one loss on the season.
Damn. You think the Giants are better than the Vikings?
Yeah, maybe I could flip probably the two around.
Stay on your Power 5, bro. That's why it's called a Power 5, not a maybe 5.
I'll stick that way, but yeah, you could easily flip them around.
Who do you got at 3?
I still got the Eagles there. Another team on a bye this week. 6-0. You know what? Leading the best division in football.
Yeah, that's a tight one in the NFC. Not the least anymore. The NFC beast.
The rest of the NFC is the least almost. Besides the Vikings.
Yeah, spoiler alert. We're going to be talking about that in a sec. I got the Chiefs at number 3. They look good. Put up some big numbers again. That offense is just finding different ways to get the ball around. Hardrick took a big step up. I think he had 3 touchdowns this week. And Chris Jones is starting to look dominant on that defensive line. You know what I'm saying? Like Aaron Donald is a bit quiet this week, but he is looking good. So I got the Chiefs at 3, putting up points. Who do you got at 3?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I got the Eagles at 3, just with the bye week.
Oh,
I got
that's
the
right.
Chiefs.
That's right.
I got the Chiefs at 2. They dominated my Niners and made them look like a JV club out there. But like you say, that offense was humming. Mahomes an early interception off a tip ball, and then after that, it was like full force offense. And the D really stepped up too and pressured Jimmy and got at that O-line for the Niners. So they were good all around. And like you say, they used different weapons. Hardman, Schuster had some good catches this week. Jared McKinnon had some good plays. You know, they're a force right now. Yeah, and they play with speed. They spread it out and they play with speed. It's like, how do we replace Tyreek Hill? You don't, but you spread it out more. Exactly. You still got your mainstay in Kelsey, and now you're sprinkling everybody else in, and you just don't know which guy is going to be every week. But yesterday, I think it was everybody. Goodness gracious. I got the Eagles flying high at 2. They could go the rest of the way without losing as well. You know, I said that about the Bills last week, but I look at their schedule, and they could very well go into December, January without losing a game. Yeah, and like we say, their division is the best division in the NFC right now, right? Yeah. Maybe even the whole league wins-wise kind of thing right now. But for sure. It'll be interesting. They've already beat the Cowboys, and it'll be interesting to see how good the Giants are when they match up against the Eagles, if they're actually a kind of contender or if they're still a pretender or they're just on the outside looking in. Like I said, the Giants haven't played a lot of good teams, but they've got it done, and they've played well to the end. Yeah. So it'll be good when they play the Eagles in that high-powered offense, how they do. I fear the Eagles will bottle up Saquon Barkley, and I don't think Danny Dimes, even though if he gets 100 yards rushing, I think he'll be in over his head. Yeah, I think so too. And like you say, it's not even just the offense. That defense for the Eagles is pretty good too. Well, they'll be hosting a playoff game, and most likely it'll be after a bye. Yeah. I think they'll be number 1 in the NFC. Hey? I think they'll be number 1 in the NFC. There's only one bye now. Yeah. Let's not forget that. I mean, if they can beat the Eagles, Cowboys, really their only contender right now would be the Vikings at 5-1, right? Oh, how about the Commanders? No. Hey, they won. Yeah, who they beat? They beat the Packers. Oh, Aaron. You and your buddy Aaron Rodgers. Karen, my friend Karen. You gotta go on Joe Rogan, bro. What a rough season. It keeps getting worse for those guys. Hey, Rodgers and Brady. Well, I don't feel bad. No, I don't feel bad. They've had all their glory already. Yeah. And, you know, me and my friend Karen, we have a bit of a sordid past. Who do you have at number 1? The Carolina Panthers after their big win this week. I agree. Just kidding. That was crazy. That was a crazy 3 points. Win. Tom Brady, 3 points. What situation are you more worried about? Tom Brady for the Bucs this year, or Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay this year? Who can climb out of that hole? Who has a better chance? Well, I think Brady does because the NFC South. Hold on, let's finish off the power rankings. I got the Bills at number 1. Me too. Okay, so we're good there. They had the bye week. They're still pretty good. Yeah. Sure. Going back to Brady and Rodgers and who can pull out. Brady, just because he's in the week, pull out the wins at some point. I don't know. Gotcha. Brady, just because he's in a worse division, right? Yeah. 3-4, they're still in first place. Meanwhile, the Vikings are 5-1 on the Packers are down a few games, and they lost to the Vikings already. So yeah, if they didn't have such a bad division, I would say the Packers are in a better situation. Yeah, but I mean, the whole thing is the NFC is not great anyway. So these guys can still sneak into the playoffs at some point, and maybe they'll be dangerous there. They don't necessarily need to win their division.
No,
So
that's true. That's less pressure on them as well. Because they were a sixth seed when they beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl, weren't they?
the Packers, yeah.
Yeah, because they did that after the Steelers won it as a sixth seed, first team to ever do that.
Yeah, no one had done it ever, and then it happened like that.
Yeah, so any which way, let's talk about this NFC, the woeful NFC. Do you think they're weak? Like, I don't know. I think they're okay right now. I don't think they're necessarily weak. They don't have they hold like 2 or 3 positions in my Power 5, so I think it's okay.
That's a funny thing because I was looking at it going, okay, they have 3 out of 5 in mine.
Yeah.
But they have some decent teams. But other than that, though, after that, there's only 5 teams that are over 500.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to me. You got all these teams at 3 and 4 who technically are in a playoff spot right now. And the other team that is actually, we've talked about the Vikings, the Giants, Cowboys, Eagles. The other team that's actually 500 is the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, they're running the West.
Yeah, and they're 4-3, and no one expected them to even have a winning record, or they expected them to be battling for the number 1 pick.
Yeah,
so it's different. And you got the powerhouses like we've talked about: Green Bay, Tampa, Rams. They're all struggling right now.
Yeah, and
their offenses are probably the worst things about them. And I think it's feeding onto their defenses as well, because Green Bay and Tampa have decent defenses, but they have not looked good the last couple of weeks. So Carolina's 2-5 in 1 game out of first, and they sold their best player or traded their best player.
So, sold them. Got those picks. Hey, he had a pretty good game. It's just
he looked good.
When they got behind, you really can't play him after that.
No, because he's not used to it. He's not used to the plays and the blitz pickups and stuff like that. But yeah, he did look good.
Yeah,
he was probably the only bright spot of that whole freaking game.
Well, Debo's still putting some goodness catches. That guy. Well, he's fun to watch. But yeah, rough week. So I don't think the NFC is necessarily weak. I think there's going to be some good. There is good parity within that division. I think it'll be battles till the end to see who get those wild card spots. We'll see. It'll be a battle till the end to see who wins the NFC South. I still think Atlanta can battle for the NFC South.
See, but even then, they looked good last week against the beating up the Niners, and then they looked terrible yesterday, losing to the Bengals.
Yeah, no doubt. It's so I don't think they're bad necessarily. They're weak. They might become the end of the year. But I think there's just a lot of good, tough football being played in the NFC, and things are really tight right now.
It is definitely tight for sure. There's a lot of teams still in the mix at 2-5 and 3-4. It's funny, everyone makes fun of the CFL East, but some of these divisions are pretty bad. And you got teams with losing records in first. Obviously, half a season still to go.
Yeah,
but
with that said, I do think the weak NFC teams are far worse than the weak AFC teams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
I don't think it's a weak division, but I think AFC is definitely a stronger division.
I would be shocked if the Super Bowl winner did not come out of the AFC at this point.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. You Buffalo, got the Bills and Chiefs right up there. The Jets are 5-2.
The Jets. Give me some of that sauce, bro. Give me some of that sauce.
I'm lost their pretty good rookie running back, though, with Breece Hall out for the season. So it's a pretty big hit. But it'll be a good run to the end of the season. We'll see. Some of these teams are going to pick it up. Green Bay plays Buffalo this week, though. So
they're going to lose. They're going to lose.
I can't see them changing around yet.
No. Let's move on to some NHL talk. Some Winnipeg Jets talk. Jets week that was. What are your thoughts? Are you surprised? I'm not surprised. I think it's kind of what we called. Other than that Toronto game, that was a little hurtful, but it kind of went the way I thought it was going to go.
Yeah, I didn't expect some of the losses to be as bad as they ended up being. Lost to Toronto 4-1. They didn't look good against Vegas in that 5-2 loss. They were down 4-0 in the first. They kind of let Rittich out to dry there or hung him out to dry. There was guys open in front of the net. Eichel was alone in front of the net basically on his goals. So it's like, not a good start. Big win against Colorado, but
they shot their load that night. They just put it all on the line. They used it all before they played Vegas. Was Vegas on a back-to-back too?
Yeah, Vegas was a back-to-back. So
and he had Rittich in there. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, they're averaging 2.4 goals per game, which is not great. Fourth last in the league. And then they're giving up 3.4. So which is 10th last. So that's not a good recipe for success right there at all. And then the first line, which started off really good, kind of slowed down with the Ehlers injury. You know,
of course.
Connor's only scored an empty net goal. You know, other than that, nothing. Scheifele started off strong, had 3 goals, but then nothing after that. So,
like, is that second line playing so well that they don't want to move Wheeler up there and give it a shot?
Yeah, I think they probably want to get that.
I don't know if Appleton's the right. Yeah, but it's early in the season too, and I don't know if Appleton's the fix there.
No, but what other option do you have, really? There's nothing else there besides moving Wheeler, but then who do you move to the second line?
I'd rather see Appleton on second line than the first line.
Yeah, maybe they just want to keep that chemistry and get that second line together and going, because they actually look pretty good. I mean,
yeah,
Dubois and Perfetti both had 4 points. Wheeler hasn't scored a goal yet, but he's got a few assists. So
it's a great line. It gives Perfetti a lot of room to play with those big guys in front of the net, and they play well defensively. That's for sure.
Yeah. But the only other thing is with this team, you're not getting much out of your bottom 6 besides Sam Gagner scoring.
Again with the bottom 6.
You know, there's no other goals. I mean, this is obviously talking before the game against the Blues tonight, but you know, like up until this game, which some bottom 6 did score, they only had the Gagner goals, nothing else. No goals from the other 5 players that played it. Right, there was only 6 guys, I think, that had scored a goal yet this season in the first 5 games. So, you know, and defensively, they still look almost lost as last year, running around in their own end and all that stuff. And the worst thing is once they start running around, that's when they take penalties and they just look bad. Like they just can't get that puck out, and they struggle. So Helly's had a good start. Yeah, 915 save percentage. So that hasn't been too bad there.
So go ahead.
And then you got the Logan Stanley debate, but we don't need to touch on that.
Well, there's no really debate to be had.
It's too bad Sandberg just can't stay healthy enough. Like even last year when he came in, he got hurt and he was out. You know, too bad he couldn't stay healthy again and get some games in there.
Well, let's look at the week ahead. Got the St. Louis Blues, the Kings, the Coyotes, and the Knights again.
Yeah.
All winnable, all tough games, especially when you're on the road. Thoughts on those?
Well, speaking about the Blues, that was tonight. So speaking of the bottom 6 not scoring, Gagner got another one, and then Morgan Barron also got one tonight. So some action. They won the game 4-0. So it's some good action getting from their bottom 6 in a tight contested game. It was 1-0, and then Gagner, you know, got the second. So good to see that happening. At best, I was hoping maybe for a split, you know, 2-2 of these 4 games, because I thought the Blues would be a lot tougher game. I mean, it was a tough game, but they ended up pulling out.
Physical team. That's a physical team that takes up a lot of ice. So it's good to go ahead.
And they usually struggle against St. Louis too. You know, so I'm never expecting them to win with St. Louis half the time. So it's a big win for them. But now if they could take the game against Coyotes and the Kings going into Vegas, maybe, you know, their season starts to look a little bit more respectable.
Yeah, it's that I still think it's respectable. 2-3 with the schedule and the teams they played.
It's just the losses, though, man. They weren't
that aren't respectable right now, I guess, is the power play and the penalty kill. Power play running at maybe 14%, and opposition's power play against them are going at 30%. And that's one of the things they really want to work on this year, and that might be a level of concern. That might be an area of concern. Sorry.
Well, yeah, because I mean, we've talked about this in episodes, how excited we were to see this power play, right? and how it would be. And I know Ehlers ended up getting hurt, but even before Ehlers got hurt, it wasn't looking very good.
Preseason, they look good, and that's about it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You just got to think sometimes that shot from the point. Teams aren't scared enough of that Morrissey shot, or they don't take enough of them from the point to scare teams.
Yeah.
So they're not expecting that, or they're not, you know, worried that, hey, it's going to happen. So they know what's happening along the sideboards, and they're expecting it, and they know Scheifele's in the middle. So but they got to work at it because it hasn't been very good so far.
Well, the thing is, if you don't really have a dangerous shot from the point, they can really keep that box small and take away your passing lanes where you want them, like Scheifele in the slot, or when you had Liney on the wing. But without that big power shot, the opposing team can keep that box nice and tight and take away all the passing lanes in front of the goalie. Take away those dangerous shots. So Pionk looked like he had an all right shot. Maybe give him a couple shots. I don't know.
Dude's at 4 goals already. It's funny because he had that blast in overtime, but you don't see that shot from the point a lot. So maybe he needs to try and be on that PP1 instead of Morrissey and see what he can do there. But unless they can sign Bufflin back somehow. No.
Oh, yeah. Any news on Rick Bowness? I heard he was feeling a little dizzy before the game, not feeling too well. Any news on that?
Not much else. He didn't coach tonight. He wasn't behind the bench. Scott Arniolo once again. So just some dizzy spouts from, I guess, having COVID last week. So as far as I know, he's doing okay.
Okay. All the best to you, Coach Bowness.
Yeah.
Let's look at the rest of the Canadian teams and how they started this season. Let's go from west to the east with Vancouver at 0-4-2. Why are people so surprised about this? I'm not understanding. Like, I'm not very impressed by this roster.
Yeah, I guess because they turned it on a little bit in that second half of the season last year with Boudreau, and now he had a full off season. They got some guys signed. Their own guys really. And I guess people expected that to continue on from last year and keep going, but they looked good at the start of games and they were up early in games. And then by the end they were losing them. Like they're 0-4-2 here. Yeah. And now you got JT Miller telling fans if they want to throw their stuff on the ice, go for it. So
that's stupid. And fans, if you do that, you're stupid as well.
Exactly. You've already spent the money. What are you doing? What are you proving some kind of point? You don't know point. The team has your money anyways. They got your ticket money. They got whatever. Yeah. So then that's kind of what JT was saying. He's like, hey, if you want to spend your money and then throw shit on the ice, go for it. So
maybe let's just calm down in Vancouver. You're getting pretty much what you're getting. Maybe you would have had a win at the beginning there, but come on now. It's not a very good club.
Yeah, it'll be. And they signed Boudreau for a couple more seasons after this, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do there, or they feel they have to cut ties, because they always had an issue, even if they were going to sign him or not. And I can't remember if it was the owner or something that didn't really, or wanted to go a different route, but then it was convinced, like we had a good end of season. He's a good coach. And then
how much money do they have left in the cap?
Oh, I don't know. Probably not much.
Not much.
Signing JT Miller, Horvat, and all that.
This is what an overpaid roster this is. What an overpaid roster Vancouver has. I'll just leave it at that.
The bad thing is, we'll see obviously if it changes around, but you had JT Miller last year, had a career year, and then you're almost scared to kind of lose the guy, thinking, okay, how's he going to be? So you sign him to a pretty big contract, so they're kind of top heavy with their guys too. With Brock Boser, Bo Horvat's going to be up after this year too for a deal. Patterson, like they're paying their top guys a lot of money.
The only guy who's really deserving of a big contract on that team, I feel, is Thatcher Demko. I really like that goalie.
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest reason for them having a decent season last year anyways, or making it respectable. So
absolutely.
And he's played decent this year, but he's not getting a lot of help.
He's no defense. Oh, no. They're terrible. They are who they should be. Let's talk about the Edmonton Elks. Edmonton Oilers, also starting a little slow, but I don't think there should be much concern right now in Oiler country. Is that what they call it? Oiler Nation? I don't know.
Oil country.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yes and no on the concern. No, it's still early, and you still have the two or the best player and a pretty close second kind of thing. Best player with Draisaitl. And I guess you want to debate it with him and Matthews probably. But their defense is not good, and it hasn't helped their goaltending. They didn't fix anything on that D, and that was the biggest issue coming in. All you did was bring in another goalie who's probably the same basically as Mike Smith.
Yeah. Their defense is their defense. They're a team that's very reliant on team defense, though. Like you said, they don't have Darnell Nurse is a good piece, but they don't have many big pieces other than that, and they're dependent on team defense, and the whole team's not playing defense. And I kind of agree with Woodcroft that it's the offense not putting any pressure in the offensive zone that's really a concern, and not really a concern because they have the chips on that offense to fix that. So. Again, in Edmonton, I'm not too concerned. I think they'll be.
Yeah. At the end of the day and at the end of the season, I'm pretty sure they'll be battling in the playoffs and probably finish top 3 in the Pacific kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But so far you got guys, they're top heavy on offense, but you got guys like Kane who have not, only 1 goal so far this year. So slow start for him considering he's putting in a couple goals a game last year, or, with Big David, not a couple goals a game, but a couple goals every few games or whatever, at least, right? So,
yeah.
So slow start there for some of the offensive guys. McDavid obviously is off to a great start, and same with Draisaitl. But I'm pretty sure they'll turn it around as long as they can get that team D as a whole better.
How about the other team in Alberta, Calgary, looking really good? They're at 4-1 right now.
Yeah. They gelled a lot quicker than I thought.
They've beaten the Avalanche, they've beaten the Oilers, they've beaten the Golden Knights, and they've beaten Carolina.
Yeah, that's 4 impressive wins and only 1 loss.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Kadri's looking good.
Yeah, I expected them to have a good season for sure, but I didn't expect them to start off so quickly, especially with the new guys and getting acclimatized. I figured it would almost be Edmonton and Calgary kind of flipped around, almost. Yeah. Edmonton off to a hotter start, and then Calgary coming on. But Daryl Sutter, man, good coach.
Oh, he's solid. He's such a quotable coach.
It's funny because when you think he was done and his old way of playing was no good anymore and all that stuff, he seems to have adapted and got Calgary winning again.
Oh, that's what I thought at the beginning of the year last year. I'm like, no, I don't think he'll be effective, but he's effective. He gets to those young guys.
Yeah.
W's impress him. Just W's. A weird stat: 3 out of 4 starts for Markstrom, he's led in the first shot as a goal. I don't think that's signaling anything. I don't think he's still going to be, I think, a Vezina quality goalie come the end of the year or come in a couple of weeks. Yeah. But just saying, that's kind of weird for Markstrom.
That is crazy. And to be 4-1 after that, because usually that's a demoralizing play for a shot of the game going in. Right?
Okay, it's like, again? Oh, well, now I got to try hard. Let's skip over Winnipeg. We talked about our boys already. Let's talk about Toronto. I don't have much to say about Toronto. They kind of are there, and they're lucky they have Samsonov playing well with Murray on the IR still, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's going to be there for a bit. Probably another 3 more weeks, I guess.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to be the one to complain against the refs in that game. Yeah. They weren't too good against the Jets, but still, Toronto won. It's fine.
Yeah, decent start to the season for Toronto. Slow start for Austin Matthews so far. Yeah. But, Samsonov is looking good. Tavares is actually playing pretty good. And I say slow start for Matthews. It's probably because he's not scoring the goals, considering he just came off 60 goals. Yeah. But, so far they're in the thick of things.
60 goals. That's crazy.
Anyway, you got to give Dubas, I guess, a bit of credit for signing Samsonov as a decent backup.
Yeah, for sure. He'll give you.
He hedged his bet.
How many games do you think he'll have to play?
Samsonov? Well,
when Murray's on the IR for how long? Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
That was about 3 to 4 weeks, right? So who they got Kallgren, I think, is the third guy.
So he's going to play a good 7-8 games.
Yeah, you might give Kallgren the backup or the back of the back-to-backs or something like that.
Yeah.
But if Samsonov's playing well, just let him roll.
Well, they should sign that guy that came in that played for Carolina, the emergency goal.
What's his name again?
Shoot, I can't remember. Sign him up, no, bro. Sign him up. Let's go to the nation's capital, Ottawa. Nothing surprising. Nothing disappointment. It's kind of one of those teams where I'll actually like to reserve my judgment for another month with them. Because I don't know. They're Ottawa. They're a little surprising because they're 1 over 500, I guess, but not really.
Yeah, well, they won tonight over Dallas, so that moves them up a little bit.
Convincingly?
Yeah, I think it was 4-2.
That's pretty good.
And they were up 4-1 late in that game, so
I'm kind of cheering for them.
Yeah, I expect them to. They won 4 in a row now too, and I expect them to be in the battle for a playoff spot at least this year. Yeah. Maybe not make it this year. Maybe this is a first step into moving on, but I don't expect them to be battling for a lottery pick at all. And I will be quite surprised if they are, because they made a lot of moves. They've made a bunch of trades, and they brought some guys in and re-signed guys. So I expect good things from them.
And how about across the Rideau to Montreal?
I mean,
they're in a rebuild. Like, what are you going to say?
A good start for them. They've been in games. They beat Toronto. They've beaten Arizona. Teams like that. They beat Pittsburgh even too. But I expect this up and down kind of season where they're hovering probably around the 500 mark. And like you say, they're rebuilding. They got some young guys in there. They traded for Kirby Dach, some more young guys. Caulfield is still young. Yeah. I don't know if the number one pick is going to stick around the whole season or not, but even Suzuki's still a young guy. So this is a building year for them.
Yeah.
And then I expect them next year to be where Ottawa kind of is this year, kind of thing.
Yeah. Any word on Carey Price?
Well, he hasn't retired yet. He was actually in the news today. Hasn't retired yet, but his knee is still pretty messed up. So he's still working his way through that. And if it gets better, he definitely wants to come back. He's not ready to retire.
What a great goalie. What a great goalie.
Yeah, it's too bad it's going the way it is for him.
Yeah, too bad he didn't have a little bit of a better team in front of him. Because, man, that guy. Probably one of the best, the most impressive goalie I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, when he was on his game those years in Montreal, man, he was tough to beat. Like, he carried that team big time.
Shut down, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I still remember that shootout with the USA back in the World Juniors a long time ago.
Well, that was such a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Taves still in there too. I'm pretty sure Patrick Kane on the US team? Oh, I can't remember now.
Surprised. They're around the same age.
Yeah, long time ago.
Wow. You have a good memory. And you're old.
Yes, I'm old.
Shout out to Vivek Bagri, who is about to meet the Pope as an athlete representing Team Canada and also some athletes from Team America from the dwarf soccer teams that are actually playing on the Dwarf Copa Americana World Cup in Argentina next summer. And I guess that's kind of the Pope connection. He's from Argentina. And I think the Argentina team is also going to visit the Pope because they have, they've been inspiring people, such inspiring stories. If you want to Google him, it's Vivek, last name Bhagri, Vivek Bagri for the Canadian Dwarf soccer team going to the World Cup. Shout out to you.
Right on.
Benny, do you have anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Just thanks a lot for listening. Thanks a lot for subscribing, following. Keep doing that and keep adding to those numbers. Have a good week.
And to steal the famous words of Ed Whalen, in the meantime and in between time, that's it. Another edition of Ray and Benny Talk Sports. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.